Have you ever been so busy that you forgot what a real weekend feels like? Or maybe you felt so tired that even thinking about work made you want to just close your eyes and sleep for a week.
Welcome back to the English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, the place where your English improves through real-life topics you care about. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects almost everyone in our fast-paced, always connected world: work-life balance and burnout.
That's right, Brian. We'll explore how to manage our time, set healthy boundaries, prevent that overwhelming feeling of burnout, and most importantly, how to maintain our mental well-being and happiness in this modern age, especially with so many people working remotely.
We'll be sharing practical tips, useful English vocabulary, and real-life scenarios that will help you talk about these important subjects. Our goal is to equip you with the language you need to discuss your work, your well-being, and finding that perfect balance.
And hey, if you find this episode helpful or interesting, please do us a huge favor. Like, share, and comment on this episode. It really helps YouTube recommend our podcast to more people, so we can help even more English learners improve their skills.
Absolutely. We've also prepared a really fun and memorable moment for you later in the show, something you might even want to share with your friends. So stick around for our humorous burnout checklist.
It's going to be a fun and insightful journey. Let's get started. All right, so we've set the stage, Brian. We're talking about work-life balance and preventing burnout. But for our listeners, what exactly does work-life balance mean? It sounds like a tightrope walk.
That's a great question, Emily. It definitely can feel like a tightrope sometimes. At its core, work-life balance means achieving a healthy equilibrium between your professional life and your personal life. It's about finding enough time and energy for both your job and your hobbies, family, friends, and personal well-being. Think of it as making sure one doesn't completely overshadow the other.
So it's not just about working fewer hours, right? It's about how we manage our energy and attention across different areas of our lives. When we talk about well-being, we're not just talking about physical health, but mental and emotional health too.
Exactly. And a crucial part of achieving that balance involves things like time management and setting clear boundaries. These are important vocabulary words we'll be using a lot today. Time management refers to how you organize and plan your time to work effectively. And boundaries are the limits you set to protect your personal time and energy from work demands.
That makes so much sense. I know a lot of our listeners, like me, might be working remotely now, which can blur the lines between work and home. So let's talk about our habits. Brian, you often ask me about my routine. How does your everyday life look? And what are you doing to make sure you have that balance?
Excellent point, Emily. This is a perfect opportunity to practice our grammar focus for this section: the present simple versus the present continuous. We use the present simple to talk about habits, routines, and things that are generally true. And we use the present continuous for actions happening now, temporary situations, or things that are changing.
Got it. So, for example, I can tell you about my typical remote work routine, which uses the present simple, and then what I am doing differently this week, which uses the present continuous.
Perfect. Let's hear it. How do you usually structure your day?
Okay, so usually I wake up at 7 a.m. I start my workday around 9 a.m. after having breakfast and a quick walk with my dog. I work straight through until about 1 p.m. Then I take a proper lunch break, usually 45 minutes to an hour. After lunch, I work until 5 p.m. I try not to check emails after that. My evenings are for cooking, reading, and sometimes meeting friends. On weekends, I always go hiking or visit my family. That's my typical schedule.
That sounds like a well-structured routine, Emily, using the present simple to describe your regular habits. You're effectively demonstrating good time management by creating a schedule. And when you say, "I try not to check emails after 5 p.m., you're clearly setting a boundary there, which is vital for maintaining your well-being.
Thanks. But sometimes things change, right? This week, for instance, I am trying something different. I am experimenting with shorter work blocks and more frequent breaks. I am taking a 15-minute break every 2 hours to stretch or step outside. And because I have a big project deadline, I am working a little later in the evenings this week, maybe until 6 p.m. But I am also making sure I start my mornings a bit later to compensate.
That's a great example of the present continuous in action. You're describing temporary changes or actions happening around now. You are experimenting and are working later, but you are also making sure to adjust. This shows flexibility, which is another key aspect of work-life balance, especially when working remotely. You're not rigidly sticking to the same routine every single day if circumstances change, but you're adapting while still prioritizing your health.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot. It's really hard to stick to one strict schedule all the time when life happens. I've noticed that when I don't take those small breaks, my productivity actually goes down. I get more tired, and it takes longer to complete tasks. So short breaks are now a priority for me.
That's a crucial insight, Emily. Many people think productivity means working nonstop, but true productivity often comes from working smarter, not just longer. Taking downtime, which refers to time for relaxation or rest, is not a luxury. It's essential for recharging your brain and body. If you're constantly on, you're not allowing yourself to recover, and that's a direct path to burnout.
It's true. I've learned that the hard way. So, to clarify for our listeners, when we use the present simple like I work from home or she takes regular breaks, we're talking about general truths, habits, or routines.
Exactly. Think of it as your default setting or what typically happens. For example, he checks his emails first thing in the morning, or they attend team meetings every Tuesday. These are habitual actions.
And when we use the present continuous like, I am trying a new schedule, or he is working on a big project this week, we're talking about something that is happening right now, or a temporary situation, or a plan for the near future.
That's it. For example, I am currently developing a new skill for my job, or she is not taking many calls today because she's focusing on a report. It shows a situation that is ongoing or temporary.
That distinction is so helpful, especially when describing how our work habits are changing. Speaking of habits, let's dive deeper into some of that key vocabulary we mentioned. You talked about boundaries. Can you give some more specific examples of what good boundaries look like, especially with remote work?
Certainly. Setting boundaries often involves communication and discipline. For example, a common boundary is not checking work emails after 6 p.m. That's a time boundary. Another might be not answering work calls on weekends, or designating a specific workspace at home and not working in your bedroom. That's a physical boundary. For our remote listeners, it could also mean turning off notifications from work apps after your workday ends. These are all ways to protect your personal downtime.
I love that last one. My phone used to buzz all evening with notifications, and it was so hard to disconnect. Now, I actually am planning to turn off all work-related notifications by 5:30 p.m. every day. It's a work in progress. What about priority? How does setting priorities help with work-life balance?
Setting priorities means deciding what is most important and focusing your energy there first. For example, your priority might be completing a key report before attending a less urgent meeting. In terms of work-life balance, your well-being should always be a high priority. If you are feeling overwhelmed, perhaps your priority for the evening is to rest, rather than doing chores or extra work. Prioritizing helps you allocate your time and energy effectively, rather than getting pulled in too many directions.
That's so true. Sometimes my priority for the evening is just to make a nice dinner and relax, even if I have other things I could be doing. And that's okay. It's about being mindful of what you need at that moment to maintain your well-being.
Absolutely. This kind of thoughtful time management and setting clear boundaries is what leads to a better overall balance. Remember, it's not about being perfect, but about continuously adjusting and making conscious choices that support both your professional success and your personal happiness.
Right. It's a dynamic process. It changes depending on what's happening in your life. For instance, right now, I am really focusing on building a consistent morning routine to boost my energy levels throughout the day. This isn't something I always do, but it's what I am doing now to improve my overall work-life balance.
That's a perfect example, Emily. It shows that work-life balance isn't a fixed state. It's something you are constantly working on. It requires regular attention and adjustment.
So, for our listeners, we want you to think about your own routines. What do you usually do to manage your work and personal life? And what are you doing right now that is different or new to help you find that balance? Think about your schedule, your priorities, and whether you're setting strong boundaries.
Reflecting on these questions, using the present simple for your habits and the present continuous for what you're currently implementing will really help solidify your understanding of these grammatical structures and the vocabulary. Your well-being and productivity depend on finding this balance.
We encourage you to notice those small actions you are taking daily to improve your downtime or your flexibility. It really adds up.
That's absolutely right, Emily. And while we're talking about these positive adjustments, it's also important to understand what happens when we don't find that balance, or when we push ourselves too far. This brings us to a very crucial topic. What is burnout? It's a word we hear often, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Yes, burnout definitely sounds serious. I hear it used a lot, but what does it really mean beyond just feeling tired? Is it like extreme tiredness?
That's a good question, and it's more than just being tired, Emily. Burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. It's not just a bad day or a week. It's when you feel completely drained and overwhelmed by your work or other demanding situations. The World Health Organization even recognizes it as an occupational phenomenon.
Oh, so it's not just about physical tiredness then. You mentioned exhaustion, which sounds very severe. So if someone is experiencing burnout, they probably also feel emotionally and mentally drained?
Exactly. That brings us to some key vocabulary related to burnout. You often hear exhaustion, which is extreme tiredness. Then there's mental fatigue, which is when your brain feels tired, making it hard to concentrate or think clearly. An emotional drain means feeling empty, unmotivated, or detached from things you once cared about. These all contribute to the feeling of being overwhelmed, where you feel like you have too much to do and can't cope.
Wow, mental fatigue and emotional drain really paint a clear picture. So it's not just about how many hours you've worked, but how those hours affect your mind and your feelings. It sounds like a slow process, not something that happens overnight.
Precisely. It builds up over time from chronic stress and overload, which is when you have too much work or too many responsibilities. We often use the present perfect to describe experiences like this that happened at an unspecified time in the past, or started in the past and continue to affect us. For example, I have felt burned out before. This implies it's an experience in my life, and maybe it still influences me.
Okay, I have felt burned out before. And what about the past simple? How does that fit in?
The past simple is used for specific events that happened at a definite time in the past. So you would say, I felt burned out last year if you're talking about a specific period, or that project caused me to feel burned out 2 years ago. The past simple refers to a finished action or state in the past, while the present perfect connects a past event to the present.
That's really helpful for our listeners to distinguish. So, Brian, have you ever personally experienced burnout or felt close to it? Can you tell us about a time you have felt it or when you felt particularly overwhelmed?
Yes, Emily, I definitely have experienced burnout. In fact, It happened to me quite significantly a few years ago. I was working on a really demanding tech project, and I had been putting in extremely long hours for months. It was a huge overload of work.
So you felt it after a specific period of overload. What were the signs for you? What did that exhaustion feel like mentally and emotionally?
At first, I just felt incredibly tired all the time, even after sleeping. But then it became more than just physical tiredness. My brain felt foggy, which is that mental fatigue I mentioned. I struggled to concentrate, even on simple tasks. I used to love brainstorming new ideas, but during that period, I couldn't think creatively at all. It was like my mind just stopped working efficiently.
That sounds really tough. And what about the emotional drain part? Did it affect your feelings or how you interacted with others?
Absolutely. I started to feel really irritable and detached. Things that normally brought me joy, like my hobbies or spending time with friends, didn't interest me anymore. I felt a general sense of apathy and hopelessness. I would get easily frustrated, and I wasn't responding to emails or messages from friends as quickly as usual. It was a clear emotional drain. I felt completely overwhelmed by everything.
It sounds like you were going through a really challenging time. How long did you feel that way? And what did you do to recover? What coping strategies did you use?
It lasted for several months. At its peak, I was dreading waking up every morning. I knew I needed to make a change when I started making simple mistakes at work that I never would have made before. My productivity had plummeted. Eventually, I realized I had been pushing myself too hard for too long. For my recovery, I took some time off, almost 2 weeks. I didn't check any work emails or messages. I focused on things completely unrelated to work. I went for long walks, I read books just for pleasure, and I reconnected with friends and family.
So you took a complete break. And how did that help? Did you feel a difference right away, or was it a gradual process of recovery?
It was a gradual process, but I did feel some relief immediately from the pressure. The first few days I slept a lot. Then, slowly, my energy started to return. The mental fatigue began to lift, and I started to feel more like myself. This period of recovery was crucial. I also started to implement better coping strategies to prevent it from happening again.
That's really brave of you to share, Brian. It helps our listeners understand that burnout is a real impactful condition, not just feeling tired. When you say coping strategies, what do you mean?
Coping strategies are actions or methods you use to deal with difficult situations or emotions. In the context of burnout, they're the things you do to manage stress and prevent overload. For me, a key strategy has been setting stricter boundaries around my work hours, which we talked about in the last segment. I have also learned to say no to extra tasks when my plate is already full. Another strategy I have adopted is incorporating regular short breaks throughout the day.
So these are practices you have implemented and continue to use? Like you have made a conscious effort to change your habits since that experience?
Exactly. I have definitely changed my approach to work since then. My experience with burnout has taught me the importance of prioritizing my well-being. Before, I would just power through everything. Now I have learned that that's not sustainable. I have been much better at recognizing the early signs of stress and overload in myself.
That's an important lesson. So for our listeners, when we're talking about burnout, remember it's that deep exhaustion, physically, mentally, and emotionally, caused by long-term stress and overload. You might experience mental fatigue, feeling unable to concentrate, or an emotional drain, where you feel detached or uninterested.
And when you describe your experiences, think about whether it's a general experience over time, using the present perfect. I have often felt overwhelmed by my workload. Or a specific past event, using the past simple. Last month, I was extremely stressed because of the deadlines.
Knowing the difference really helps clarify what you're trying to express. And the journey back from burnout is called recovery, often involving implementing coping strategies to manage future stress.
That's right. It's about recognizing the problem and actively working towards a healthier state. And those coping strategies are vital for sustained well-being.
So, we've talked about what burnout is. Next, we'll explore even more practical steps and ideas for how to avoid it altogether. We'll be focusing on preventing burnout, and you'll learn even more useful vocabulary and grammar for that.
Absolutely, Emily. Understanding what burnout is and recognizing its signs is the first step. But the even more empowering part is knowing that we can actively work to prevent it. This isn't just about recovering from burnout, but about building habits that stop it from happening in the first place.
I love that. It feels proactive, like we're taking control. So what's the big secret? Where do we even begin when we want to prevent burnout?
Well, the foundation of burnout prevention really starts with something called self-care. This phrase might sound a bit trendy, but it's actually incredibly important. Self-care refers to any intentional actions you take to care for your physical, mental, and emotional health. It's not selfish. It's essential for you to function effectively.
Self-care. That makes sense. It's about looking after yourself, right? So does that include things like getting enough sleep or eating well? Are those healthy habits?
Exactly. Good sleep, proper nutrition, and regular exercise are all fundamental healthy habits that fall under self-care. They build your resilience against stress. Beyond the basics, self-care also includes activities that bring you joy or help you unwind, like reading, spending time in nature, or pursuing a hobby.
I like the sound of that. It's more than just what you don't do, it's about what you do for yourself. And how about relaxation and rest? Are those the same as self-care?
They're closely related. Relaxation is the process of reducing tension and stress. It could be deep breathing, listening to music, or taking a warm bath. Rest is about actively pausing and allowing your body and mind to recover. It's not just about sleep. It can be a quiet moment, a short nap, or simply sitting without distraction. You should make time for both relaxation and rest every day, not just when you feel overwhelmed.
That's a good distinction. So if someone is trying to prevent burnout, what are some of the key pieces of advice we should give them? And how do we phrase that advice in English?
Excellent question, Emily, because this is where our grammar focus comes in. When we give advice, we often use modal verbs. These are verbs like should, must, can, could, and ought to. They all express different levels of suggestion or necessity.
Okay, like you should drink more water or you must finish your homework.
Precisely. Should is used for general recommendations or good ideas. You should take short breaks during your work day. Must is stronger, indicating something that is necessary or very important. You must prioritize your sleep if you want to avoid exhaustion. Can suggests possibility or ability, and could is a softer suggestion or possibility. Ought to is similar to should, but sounds a bit more formal or like a moral obligation. For example, you ought to listen to your body's signals.
So, if I really want to emphasize something, I'd use must. If it's a friendly suggestion, should or could is better. This is perfect for giving tips. How about we do a little role play? Let's imagine we're giving each other burnout prevention tips using these modal verbs and our new vocabulary. I'll start with you, Brian.
I love that idea, Emily. I'm ready for your expert advice.
All right, Brian, you're always so focused on your work, which is great, but sometimes I worry you push yourself too hard. My first tip for you is you should definitely schedule regular downtime. I mean, dedicated time when you are completely unplugged from work. You must see it as a non-negotiable part of your day, not just something you do if you have extra time.
Downtime. Scheduled. That sounds logical. But what kind of downtime should I prioritize? I often find myself just browsing the internet during breaks, which isn't really rest.
That's a common trap. For true downtime, you could try something completely unrelated to screens. You should explore a new hobby or revisit an old one. Maybe you could learn to play an instrument or try some woodworking, something tactile and creative that allows your mind to truly recharge and escape work thoughts. You ought to find something that brings you genuine relaxation.
A hobby that helps me recharge. I like that. I could definitely use more activities that are purely for enjoyment, not productivity. It's funny how we often forget that. Thank you for the advice, Emily. My turn to give you some tips.
Bring it on, Brian. I'm curious to hear your logical approach to my burnout prevention.
Emily, you have so much energy and you're always taking on new projects. My advice for you is related to boundaries. You must set clear boundaries between your work life and your personal life. When your workday finishes, you should make a conscious effort to close your laptop and physically step away.
Boundaries. That's a powerful word. So it's not just about time, but also creating a mental and physical separation. What should I do if I get a work email late at night?
That's a perfect example. If it's not urgent, you should resist the urge to reply immediately. You must remind yourself that it can wait until working hours. Also, you could set up automatic email responses for after hours to manage expectations. You ought to protect your personal time from work intrusions.
That's a great practical tip. I often feel like I should respond right away, but you're right. It sets a bad precedent. That really helps reinforce the idea of boundaries. What else should I consider?
Another crucial aspect, especially for someone who takes on a lot, is delegation. You should learn to delegate tasks when possible, rather than trying to do everything yourself. You must trust your team or colleagues to handle some responsibilities. You can't do it all, and trying to will only lead to overload and eventually burnout.
Delegation. That's a tough one for me sometimes. I feel like I should just do it myself to make sure it's perfect. But you're right. That's probably why I sometimes feel overwhelmed. So I should identify tasks that someone else could do?
Exactly. And you must also communicate clearly when you delegate. It's a skill that takes practice, but it's vital for managing your workload and preventing burnout. Think about it. If you always say yes, you will eventually burn out. You should also consider incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing or focused attention can help reduce stress and improve your concentration.
Mindfulness. So like being truly present in the moment? Not thinking about work or what's next? That sounds like a wonderful way to find relaxation. I could definitely try that. So, to recap some of those powerful tips for our listeners, Brian, what are the absolute key takeaways for preventing burnout?
First, embrace self-care as a non-negotiable part of your life. This includes developing healthy habits like good sleep, nutrition, and exercise. You should prioritize these. Second, ensure you build in genuine relaxation and rest time, which means truly disconnecting and allowing your mind and body to recover.
And you must actively seek out downtime and perhaps a hobby that lets you fully recharge. Don't just browse your phone. Find something truly engaging that takes your mind off work.
Third, set strong boundaries between your work and personal life. You should communicate your availability clearly and then stick to it. And remember, you must learn to say no when your plate is full and practice delegation when appropriate.
Finally, consider mindfulness practices to manage daily stress and bring calm into your day. You can start with just a few minutes of focused breathing. Remember, these are not just suggestions. They are crucial strategies to ensure you stay healthy and productive in the long run. You ought to invest in your well-being.
These modal verbs are so useful for giving advice in English, and the vocabulary we've covered, like self-care, boundaries, delegation, and recharge, gives you the tools to discuss prevention effectively.
It's all about building a sustainable life, isn't it? And speaking of disconnecting and recharging, our next segment takes this idea even further. We're going to dive into the concept of a digital detox and why taking a break from our screens can be a game changer for preventing burnout.
That's a topic I think many of our listeners, and certainly I, can relate to. In today's always connected world, it feels like our phones and computers are extensions of our hands. So, Emily, let's define this. What exactly is a digital detox?
Great question, Brian. A digital detox is simply a period of time when a person refrains from using electronic devices such as smartphones, televisions, computers, tablets, and social media sites. It's about consciously choosing to unplug from the digital world and spend time offline.
Unplug and offline. Those are key terms there. So it's not just about turning off your phone, but about intentionally disengaging from all digital interactions. I suppose the goal is to reduce screen time and improve mental well-being.
Exactly. It's about creating space for your mind to rest, to reconnect with yourself and with the people and environment around you. Think about it. Our phones are constantly sending us notifications. A notification is a message or alert that pops up on your screen, telling you about a new email, a social media update, or a news alert.
Ah, notifications. Those little pings and vibrations that constantly pull our attention away. They are designed to grab our focus, aren't they? And often, they lead to a cycle of checking our devices, even when we don't really need to. This constant checking can be a major distraction, making it hard to concentrate on one task or even truly relax.
Absolutely. And that constant distraction means our brains are always on high alert, even when we're trying to relax. So a digital detox helps you regain focus and feel more refreshed. Focus means giving your full attention to something, and refresh means to make someone feel less tired or less hot. After a detox, you feel mentally refreshed.
That makes perfect sense. It's about reclaiming our attention and energy. And speaking of cause and effect, this is a great segment to practice the first conditional in English. We use the first conditional to talk about possible situations in the future and their likely results. The structure is if plus present simple will plus infinitive.
Oh, I love the first conditional. It's so useful for talking about consequences and planning. So for example, if you turn off your phone at night, you will sleep better. That's a clear cause and effect.
Precisely. Or, if you take a social media break, you will reduce your stress levels. It links an action directly to a probable outcome.
Perfect. So Brian, I have a challenge for you and for our listeners too. Are you ready to try a 24-hour digital detox?
A 24-hour digital detox? That's interesting. As someone who relies heavily on technology for work and staying informed, that sounds like a significant challenge. My initial thought is, if I turn off my phone, how will I know if something urgent happens?
That's a common concern, but let's think about the benefits using our first conditional. If you take a 24-hour digital detox, you will notice a significant reduction in constant pings and alerts. How does that sound?
If I notice a reduction in pings, I will definitely feel less scattered. I can see that. My brain might actually get a break.
Exactly. And if you reduce your screen time for a whole day, you will likely feel less eye strain and headaches. Screen time is the amount of time you spend looking at a screen.
Okay, less eye strain and headaches? If that's the outcome, then I am definitely interested. My eyes are always tired by the end of the day.
Another one. If you stop checking your phone every few minutes, you will have more time for other activities, like reading a physical book, going for a walk, or even just sitting quietly with your thoughts.
That's a very good point. If I'm not scrolling, I will have more time for things I keep putting off. I could finally finish that book, or maybe even go for a hike, which helps me recharge.
Exactly. And if you take a social media break, you will reduce feelings of comparison and social pressure. Sometimes social media can make us feel like we're not doing enough or that everyone else's life is perfect.
That's very true. If I'm not seeing endless curated posts, I will probably feel more content with my own life. It's a subtle but powerful effect.
And here's a big one. If you truly unplug for 24 hours, you will improve your real-world connection with others. You'll be more present in conversations, make better eye contact, and truly listen. Connection here means a strong relationship or bond with someone.
Improving real-world connection. If I'm not distracted by my phone, I will certainly be more present with my family and friends. That's a benefit I can really get behind. My wife often points out how distracted I can be sometimes.
So thinking about it from a prevention perspective, if you make digital detoxes a regular habit, you will build stronger mental resilience against stress and burnout. It's not just a one-time thing, but a tool in your well-being toolkit.
That's a powerful point, Emily. It's about establishing a new healthy routine. If I commit to this, I will likely see long-term benefits for my overall well-being. So the challenge is accepted. For 24 hours, I will try to stay offline and truly unplug. No notifications, no endless screen time.
Fantastic, Brian. And for our listeners, we encourage you to try it too. Start small if 24 hours seems too much. Maybe try for a few hours in the evening or one full afternoon on a weekend. If you try even a short digital detox, you will be surprised by how much calmer and more focused you feel.
It's also important to tell people you might be offline for a bit, so they don't worry. If you inform your colleagues and friends, they will understand why you're not responding immediately. Managing expectations is part of setting those boundaries we talked about earlier.
Good point, Brian. And remember the vocabulary we've used: digital detox, unplug, offline, notifications, distraction, focus, refresh, screen time, social media break, and connection. All super useful when discussing how to manage our relationship with technology.
And the first conditional is your go-to grammar tool for explaining the potential outcomes of this effort. If you practice this structure, you will improve your fluency in discussing cause and effect in English.
This is such an important topic because technology is everywhere. We can't avoid it completely, but we can learn to manage it so it doesn't manage us. If you master disconnecting, you will find more peace and productivity in your life.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance. And sometimes the most productive thing you can do is simply nothing, especially nothing digital.
This conversation about disconnecting really highlights how all these strategies for preventing burnout are connected. It's about being intentional with your time and energy, whether that's through self-care, setting boundaries, or taking a break from your devices.
It truly is. And this digital detox idea is a practical step that anyone can take to feel more in control and less overwhelmed. I'm actually looking forward to trying it now.
Me too. It's going to be interesting to see how it feels, and hopefully our listeners feel inspired to try it and use these new English phrases.
All right, Emily. We've talked about what burnout is, how to prevent it, and even how to disconnect. But sometimes you need a little humor to recognize the signs before they get too serious. Are you ready for a fun, relatable moment that we hope our listeners will share?
I am absolutely ready, Brian. I love a good humorous moment. What do you have for us?
I call this the Am I Burned Out? Checklist. I'm going to read some humorous scenarios, and I want you to give me your quick, practical, and maybe slightly sarcastic fix for each one. Think of it as a public service announcement with a laugh.
Oh, I like this. Let's hear it. I'm prepared to deliver some tough love English learning style.
Excellent. Listen carefully, everyone, and see how many of these sound familiar. Here we go. Period.
Item number 1 on the Am I Burned Out? Checklist. You wake up on Monday morning and your first thought is it Friday yet? And it's only 7 a.m. Ha! Okay, the fix for that, Brian, is to remember that weekends exist. Maybe you need to pencil in some actual fun, not just work, for the upcoming weekend. That means to schedule something.
Good one. Checklist item number 2. Your coffee machine has become your closest confidant. You tell it all your problems, and it just brews.
Oh dear, if your coffee machine is your best friend, it's time to reach out to a human, a real friend, a family member, or maybe try decaf and a walk outside to clear your head.
Item number 3. You've started communicating primarily in emojis because actual words require too much effort. You're having entire conversations with just a thumbs up and a weary face emoji.
If words are too much, you're definitely running on empty. My fix: practice speaking out loud, even if it's just to yourself. Try to use full sentences. It's like exercising your verbal muscles.
Item number 4. Your idea of a break is moving from your desk chair to the couch to continue working on your laptop.
That's not a break, Brian. That's a posture change. You need to physically remove yourself from your workspace. Go outside, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Stretch your legs.
Item number 5. When your phone rings, you automatically answer with, "Hello? What's wrong now?" Because positive news just doesn't happen anymore.
Yikes. If that's your standard greeting, you might be expecting the worst. Try practicing a positive greeting like, "Hello, how can I help you?" Or, better yet, screen your calls. Don't answer unknown numbers.
Item number 6. You start sorting your laundry by emotional state. Happy clothes. Sad clothes. I can't even deal with this clothes.
Oh, that's a new level of organization, but probably not a healthy one. My fix: delegate the laundry if you can, or just put it all in one pile and wash it. It's okay to let some things go, literally.
And finally, item number 7. You realized your houseplant died from neglect a week ago, and you didn't even notice until it was crunchy.
Poor plant. If you can't even keep a plant alive, you need to prioritize your own well-being. Get a low-maintenance plant or step outside and actually connect with nature. Look at some healthy trees.
Wow, Emily. Those were excellent fixes. I think many people listening can relate to at least a few of those. It's funny, but it also highlights how easily we can slip into unhealthy patterns.
Exactly. Humor can be a great way to recognize these signs without feeling overwhelmed. And we use some great English expressions there.
We did. Let's quickly go over some of them so our listeners can add them to their vocabulary.
First, we had pencil in. When you pencil something in, it means you make a tentative plan or schedule something. It's often used for appointments or social events, like, I need to pencil in a doctor's appointment.
Then, reach out. To reach out means to contact someone, especially for help or support. For example, if you're feeling stressed, you should reach out to a friend.
Clear your head is another good one. This means to get rid of confusing or worrying thoughts, often by taking a walk or doing something relaxing. I went for a run to clear my head.
And running on empty. This idiom means to have very little energy or resources left. It's like a car that's almost out of gas. After working 12 hours, I was totally running on empty.
We also said, stretch your legs. This means to go for a short walk after sitting for a period of time, just to get some exercise. Let's take a break and stretch our legs.
And screen your calls. This means to check who is calling before you answer, often to decide if you want to pick up or not. I always screen my calls when I'm busy.
And finally, prioritize your own well-being. This is about making your health and happiness the most important thing. It's so crucial for avoiding burnout.
So there you have it. A humorous look at burnout, some practical tips, and useful English expressions all rolled into one. We hope you got a laugh and learned something new.
And please, share this moment with your friends and on social media if you enjoyed it. It helps us know what content you like, and it helps spread the word about our podcast.
Welcome back, English learners. What a journey it's been today, exploring the essential topics of work-life balance and preventing burnout. We've covered so much, from defining these concepts to giving you practical tips and even a humorous checklist.
It really has been a fantastic episode, Brian. And the best part is we've learned so much useful English vocabulary and expressions along the way. It's truly about living the language, one phrase at a time, especially when it comes to something as important as your well-being.
Absolutely, Emily. So before we wrap up, let's take a moment to recap some of the most important vocabulary and phrases we've learned today. These are words and expressions you can use immediately in your daily conversations about work, health, and managing your life.
Let's do it. First up, of course, is work-life balance. This is the state of equilibrium where you equally prioritize the demands of your career and your personal life. It's about finding that sweet spot between your professional obligations and your personal time.
Then we dove deep into burnout. Remember, this isn't just being tired. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. It's when you feel totally drained, like you have nothing left.
To combat burnout, we talked about setting clear boundaries. These are limits you establish between your work and your personal life to protect your time and energy. For example, not checking work emails after 6 p.m. is setting a boundary.
Another crucial skill is time management. This refers to the process of planning and controlling how much time you spend on specific activities to increase your effectiveness, efficiency, or productivity. Learning to prioritize your tasks is a big part of effective time management.
We also emphasize the importance of your well-being. This is a broad term that refers to your overall state of being healthy, happy, and comfortable. It includes your physical, mental, and emotional health. Taking care of your well-being is vital.
And a key strategy for maintaining that well-being is self-care. This means engaging in activities to promote your physical, mental, and emotional health and happiness. It could be anything from taking a relaxing bath to exercising or pursuing a hobby.
Related to that is the idea of needing to recharge your batteries. This is an idiom meaning to rest or relax, to regain your energy after a period of hard work. It's like plugging in your phone to get it back to 100%.
And in our always connected world, we highlighted the importance of a digital detox, or learning to unplug. This means taking a break from electronic devices like your phone, computer, and social media to reduce screen time and reconnect with the real world.
We also learned about the idiom running on empty, which perfectly describes feeling totally exhausted and having no energy left, just like a car with an empty fuel tank. If you're running on empty, it's a clear sign you need a break.
And when you need to clear your mind, you might want to clear your head. This expression means to get rid of confusing or worrying thoughts, often by going for a walk or doing something relaxing. It helps you think more clearly.
Finally, we talked about the importance of knowing when to reach out for help. This means to contact someone, like a friend, family member, or professional, especially when you need support or assistance. You don't have to go through tough times alone.
That's a solid recap, Emily. These words and phrases are so practical and truly useful for anyone navigating the modern world, whether they're working remotely or in an office.
They really are. And now we want to hear from you, our amazing listeners. We've shared our tips and insights, but we know you have valuable experiences too.
That's right. In the comments section below, we'd love for you to share your best tip for maintaining work-life balance or preventing burnout, using some of the English vocabulary you've learned today or any new phrases you know.
Yes, what's your secret for staying balanced? Do you have a favorite self-care routine or perhaps a clever way to unplug? Share it with us in English. Your tips could help someone else listening right now.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps YouTube recommend our podcast to more learners, helping our channel grow and allowing more people to improve their English skills through real-life topics.
Every like, share, and comment makes a big difference. It tells us you love what we're doing, and it helps us reach a wider audience of English learners just like you.
So as we sign off, remember this: your work matters, but so does your life. And now you have the English vocabulary and expressions to talk about both, to advocate for your well-being, and to build a healthier, happier life.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep living the language. We're so proud of your dedication and excited for your continued progress. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next time and take care of yourselves.